Hey, everybody, and we are live today with Joe Prew from G-Force Parking Lot Striping. Many of you have seen us. You might have seen it on the previous slide in the bottom left there, Veteran Service Brands. We've talked quite a bit about owning a franchise for our Veteran Service Brands, where every franchise is owned by a veteran. But I thought it would be great today to bring one of the most energetic veterans. I think that's a great way to say it. So Joe Prew up in New Hampshire, right?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Isn't that the same thing? I don't
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so Rhode Island, Joe Prew, who owns G-Force Parking Lot Striping franchise up in Rhode Island.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us, Joe. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, and as we go through the session, I want to make this educational for all of you. So first of all, what I'll say is if you are joining us on this session and if you ever considered owning a franchise or starting a business, let us know yes or no in the comments. And then two, if you have any questions for Joe and I, things that you were thinking about when it comes to running a business, drop them in the comments and we'll pop them up. And finally, the very first game of the season for the NFL in September, Thursday night, Dallas Cowboys at Eagles. At Philadelphia, Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. So if you are a sports fan and are tracking that, let us know who you are rooting for in that first game. All right. So I was asked for you to tell the story on this, and I think it's going to frame. Jack Child sent this to me, Joe, and I'm going to share it to the stage. He said this photo right here, which, by the way, I thought you had more hair. This photo right here kind of like encapsulates everything that is Veteran Service Brands. So can you please tell us the story behind this?
I can. And Stephen Hull, he's the owner of Paint Corps. He is representing Maryland, and he just bought another brand, the Paint Corps, right? So like Marine Corps, which is kind of cool about all our names. But anyway, he had a job local to me. He said, hey, I need some help. I said, let's go. And, I showed up. He never paid me, by the way. Okay. But I think what Jack means by, that picture represents our brand is that's, it doesn't benefit me to go up there. It's helping him, but that's what we do. He needed some help. He's in my area, and I didn't even ask too many questions. Where is it? Let's go. And I'm up there. And when I see him at conference, I want some money for that. Okay? Cash.
It sounds exactly like what we did in the military. And that's what I love about the Veteran Service Brands thing. Like if you need help and they're available anywhere in the area, someone will show up, roll up their sleeves, pop on a different t-shirt, whatever it is, and get working. So I really appreciate that. And then also the veteran community of like, hey, when I see him next year, I'm going to ask him for some. Like
one more plug is there's no job too small or too big, which is the power of having that sort of network, right? I can call on Maryland to come up. I can call on New Hampshire to come down.
Yep.
Whatever it may be. Yeah.
No, when our CEO Nick Gismondi needed to get his he had some epoxy floors that were just falling apart in his house, and he had a fairly new house. They were not installed properly. He was going to try to get them fixed or whatever. I said, no, call the Mach 1 epoxy team, call Veteran Service Brands. And Justin came up from like South Carolina to do them for him. Like drove on up with his truck, and did them. So I really love that about the brand. And having spent the better part of 2 weeks with you all, it made me a believer. So we've got some stuff here. Look at this.
Over a few years.
All right. Wait a minute, Lucy. Lucy, I know you're a rookie when it comes to these live discussions. You're not sure, you're not comfortable with the routine here, Lucy Robinson. So we'll get to that in a moment. We'll save that question. But first, Joe, talk to us about your career leading up to, Veteran Service Brands and G-Force.
Great question. And I'll kind of get to the heart of, I've been in the Marines. that was my active duty time. I got out, and then I served in the Army. I was field artillery for 6 years. I got out, and then in 2017, I ended up joining with the Air Force. So I'm still in. It's been 17 years. I've been in 3 branches, working on my 3rd honorable discharge. I'm going to get to my 20. My dad really inspired a lot of myself and brothers, uncles to join. His father was in. His mother was in. Family lineage. But I've done a lot of administration. That's what I did in the Corps. I worked at the Department of Health. Just a lot of different jobs. I've always in the back of my head, I wanted to own my own business. So funny as it is, I'm overseas at Qatar. We're flying around the Middle East. I have a few different officers who would come in, and they would just kind of like blast these orders out. I started to feel more like a number at that point, not really belong. And so I was like that mad, bitter, angry started to come out. And I thought, all right, what can I do with that? I want to own my own time. I want to start my own business. And then from that point on, I'm like, all right, franchise it is, because I don't know how to run a business, right? So I'm on the phone with the window guy and the marketing guy and the trading money. I must have talked to 10 different franchises. And then I got the idea, what about veterans, right? So I'm Googling veteran service brands. Pop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on filling out one of their request forms. Craig calls me, and I don't know, maybe, I was still overseas. Me and Craig talked a lot. So it's probably, I'd say less than a year, maybe 6 months after that initial call with Craig, I'm all in, like scared out of my skull, and I'm doing it.
Awesome. So, all right. So I just have a couple things. So one, I feel like I enjoy that as you got older, you made your military career easier. So you started off in the Marines.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that you skipped the Navy, but I'm guessing.
Department of the Navy. I mean, we were at Department of the Navy. And
so I guess, so you start off in the Marines, and then you're like, nah, this is too much. Let me go to the Army. And the Army's like, a lot easier than the Marines, people say. And then you're like, nah, I'm getting older. This stuff's too tough. Let me go to the Air Force, and that corporate world. And you're still there. So were you in the Air Force in Qatar, or were you in the Army in Qatar when you started talking?
Air Force on the break.
You literally were flying around.
Oh yeah. We were. I flew into a few different countries. It was. I feel like more of a person in the Air Force. If my daughter ever wanted to go in the military, I'd like to see her go into the Air Force. Of course, she's gonna do what she wants to do and what's good for herself and her family. But the Air Force has just been a fantastic place. And I happen to be in a great position between a couple of retired Air Force folks at a church event. They're like, hey, what about joining the Air Force? We were just talking about, hey, I'm at a dead-end job. I'm trying to get promoted. And so cybersecurity was that thing. They gave me a lot of skills. The Air Force was a great place. It's still a great place for me.
So you're cybersecurity for the Air Force?
I do cybersecurity from them. And what we do is an amazing, amazing thing. We will set up communications that President Trump could pick up the phone because it's secured. So you got your unclass side, you got your class side, and from diesel to a generator, we're setting up a satellite to go out, get our internet. We have routing and switching people. We have the server people, and then you have me, client systems. I get behind a computer, reimage it, set up users in Active Directory. It's really, and then we have what's called VoIP, right? Voice over IP. People are making calls on secured lines. Joint Chief of Staff, your generals that you teach, they can jump online and have conversations.
I love it. Yeah. So funny story. I was the J2 for the White House Communications Agency, so I'm very aware. So, so here's a question for you. So we got a couple of people here. So I do want to say, thanks for joining to Cash Lee, and Andrew. Drop us some questions. I know he's interested in a franchise. Drop some questions in the comments that you're interested in. And then we've got Lucy and Tara in here. Jack says the Army taught him that he should have joined the Air Force.
Army, that was field artillery. It was not.
Gary said the same, and he was an Army first sergeant and an Army recruiter. So,
thank you for your service.
All right, so you're in IT. You're trained and certified for IT. by the Air Force. What made you go like? So, what made you decide to go into parking lot striping?
I never would have thought of parking lot striping, but for me, it's what job can I do can provide me with the financial security of doing it.
Yep.
So again, back to me calling franchise after franchise, I probably talked to 10 different franchise people, different all from all walks of life before I came across the veteran service brands, and it just fit the bill. Like, okay,
Yeah.
this is uncomfortable. That's a good sign, right? I don't know about this, but they have training.
Yep.
In the military, we learn cadence. When they say left, you put your left foot down, right? And right, you put your right foot down. So for me, I think about it as the cadence. Getting into a franchise is do this, yes sir, do that. And I don't have to come up with a brand. I don't have to come up with
Yep.
the marketing. I don't. I wouldn't have known what type of paint to buy, what type of machine. So you could really stretch that conversation.
Mm,
And what the
yeah.
franchise world did for me was, hey, we have a, I don't know, what do you want to say, a plan. We have a cadence. We'll show you what to do, and then, well, you got to do it. You got to put in the work.
Yeah. I never would have thought of parking lot striping until I realized that it has to be done every few years or it looks like crap or doesn't work. When it not just parking lot, but street and road striping, airfield striping, all this external paint has to be redone. So you're always going to have, a continual workload as you start to build out your portfolio. So we had a question. So you talked. I'll get to the question second. So you start talking to Craig, um, and you say, "I'm going to do this." Did
No, no. I was scared. I'm like, now you
okay.
have the whole, can I do this? Can I do this? Right? I'm just this guy, and now
Yep.
I'm this guy, and now I need to be this guy. So that is an uncomfortable thing, but it's like courage, commitment, right?
Mhm.
Values, integrity. I seen the values there. I know it's a network of veterans that's making me comfortable. I know I can do things when I put my mind to it. So uh, Craig kind of helped me understand what they do, and he's just sort of like no smoke in the room. He's honest. He tells you straight up, this is what it's going to cost.
Yep.
These usually up for there's no uncovered costs. It's not like you join a franchise like, oh, by the way, you got a royalty that I didn't tell you about. It's so that all every conversation, right? What does it do? It builds trust. How do people buy anything? Michael Quinn, trust is involved in that. So
We buy from whom we trust, and trust comes from relationships. And so, a lot of
there it is.
ways you can say the relationships with the veteran community and veteran service brands helps to build that trust with the individual operators. And so, I love it. I love it. So, all right. So, from the moment you got through the paperwork and the financing and all the stuff, and you're like, somewhere, some point, you signed Joe Prew,
That's right.
and that's it. You're a franchise owner.
Yep.
What, like, training, celebratory parties, as Lucy Robinson asked, first few clients, like, talk us through that. Like, did you have to go somewhere for training? Did somebody come up to you? Was there like a step-by-step walkthrough of everything? Like, how did you get from IT, Marine Corps, Army, Air Force veteran into parking lot striping, business owner, maestro in Rhode Island?
Love it. Rhode Island, not New Hampshire. I love that. That's
Yeah, I pay attention.
good. So I talked a bit about my walk through the different franchises. I'm talking with Craig, and at a certain point, I'm back home. So he called me,
Mhm.
hey, back home, hey, what are you gonna do? And it's like, all right, I'm gonna do it. So then it was about everybody when they not maybe not everybody, but when you look at a machine like veteran service brands, and you look at okay, so all these people have started and nobody's failed.
Right.
Confidence builder right there, right?
Yeah.
So it's like this machine works. What are you worried about? Your phone ringing. That was
Mhm.
my biggest thing because now you're talking about parking lots. How do you, as you drive around, now you see all the parking lots. Now you see, oh wow, there's lines everywhere. There's parking lots everywhere. This business exists. Oh, there's doubt is
Of course.
right. Oh well, what about the seal coaters in the area? What about the other line stripers in the area? But really, it's not about being arrogant, cocky. It's about being humble and confident in your abilities to follow a process that's proven. And you go, okay, you know what? It's almost like this, Mike, right? Here's a mountain in front of us. A lot of people will stand around the mountain and go, can I climb that mountain? I think I can climb that mountain. You can ask all the questions in the world, but guess what? There's one way to find out if you can climb the mountain, and that's to left, right, left, and head up. And so that's
Mount Fuji.
That's a thing to get there. So once I made that transaction, I signed the dot. You're like, oh boy, the sweat, sweat's coming off. You're worried. You got bills. You got this and that. It's like, all right, I just want my phone to ring. And that kind of leads me to, you follow the steps. You go to training, go down there with Vish. You come home, you forget everything, right? You're like, oh my God, what did I just learn? It's a fire hose of information, right? But back to the network, there's people I can call and talk to. And when my phone first rang, my first job, I mean, I could talk money, but
no, I mean, like, let's talk about, like, how did you get your first job? Like,
so
your first job, how did you get your first several jobs? That would be because, like, you went to training, right? Mm-hmm. And I went down for training. I didn't do much of it because I'm not a very hands-on kind of guy when it comes to that stuff. That's why I went into
what training.
I did. I striped a line. I lined a stripe, or I striped the line, or whatever with Vish.
Yeah.
I got behind the machine in broad daylight and made a straight line to somewhere.
Was it straight? Did anybody see that? And was it a banana? Those are three questions.
I have video of it. Like, straight line. It's easy because there's a laser that points to where you need to go. And they had it all set up. Like, just keep the laser on this box. And I just hit the button and I walked forward and I was like, done. Now, was it professional? Like, did I have to map up where it's going to go? Did I have to, like, pre-design everything? No. Mm-hmm. But I did the machine was like, done. And then they said, do you want to do another? And I said, absolutely not.
No.
I'm good.
I do want to see some photos of that. But I think, to answer your question, I think of three things pop into mind: Google, marketing, and postcards.
Yeah.
To have a business like this, right? There's a brand, but now you have to represent your brand. How do you do that? You need reviews. So I'm first in the hopper, right? I got no reviews.
Don't get into that yet.
Okay.
I was going to talk about the reviews.
But I'm
How
saying,
did you get your first few jobs? Like, let's go over the first 3 to 5 jobs. How did you get them?
Google.
First job, somebody called you from Google?
Absolutely, because I had sent out postcards, and obviously we have a great website. So I think most people go to Google and look up parking lot striping in Rhode Island. That's
how did you send out postcards? You sent out, like, so you were the ones that were sticking those postcards in my steps over here?
Nope, that's not going to work. That's not going to. And so this comes back to
them out without ever looking.
Do you have a franchise or not? Now, I have a franchise, so now I have a place to go to. And I say, what do I do? Jack and the veteran service brand say, well, you go to Postcard Mania and you send out some postcards, right? And so we have these things that are in line. So, okay, so you pay this money, and now you start sending out flyers and letters to people saying, I exist, I'm here. Give me a call. Let me come by and do some estimates.
I do keep for years I'd keep the menus I'd get from local pizza places. So you have one in the junk drawer that you can pull out if you ever need it. So you're sending out to a community, your local community, through this system, postcards, so people know you're there, know you're a veteran-owned brand. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so postcards. They've got the veteran service brand, G-Force brand website. So if they search for it, you guys have the overall brand pops up, and then they could search for someone in their area, right?
Right, but remember, right now I'm 0 reviews. I have none. So if they go to Google, they'll find me, but I'm not at top. So it was a combination of those things that she happened to get on my website. She found me. She called. So my first call was like, this is a system that's working. My phone's ringing, and that was my first call for a job. I got it, and it happened to be a really good job. It was a big paycheck, and I was like super excited. It was a 2-day job.
How long after you got back from training with Vish did that phone call ring?
So that was within the first couple of weeks, and I had emails coming in. I just didn't
Right.
get them. I
Yeah.
didn't actually get those jobs, but within 3 weeks, my phone started ringing for people who needed work done in their parking lot, and I was just so thrilled that
Yeah.
my phone. My thought was, Mike, if my phone rings once, it can ring again.
Yeah.
And you're like, but at the time now, I was working part time, which helped me. That
Mhm.
was kind of like my 9 to 5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did that when I started my business as well. You kind of bootstrap to give yourself over that initial this.
Yeah, because it's not.
Yeah.
I don't come from money. My daddy's not a
Yeah.
senator, right? He was a Vietnam veteran. Thanks, Daddy.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Right? But so you work hard. You maintain 9 to 5 to help stabilize the security, and then you start building a business. I started painting after 5, and I started painting on the weekends. Really, until that became too much,
Right.
and I had used up my, I don't know, say 2 weeks that I had, my 2 weeks that I had for vacation.
PTO. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I said, all right, I'm done. I'm done with work, right? But this part of most people, they don't want to ask 5 people if they can drop off their son or daughter to school, right? That's an invaluable asset about owning a business. Time freedoms.
Yeah.
I don't ask anyone else. I run my own schedule, and that to me is work. I'd never work for anybody else ever again.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Well,
So your
until
first
next
3 to
chapter.
5, your first 3 to 5 came from the system, basically. You
Google.
started, you had the benefit of the veteran service brand enterprise, getting you referrals. You had your Google listings getting you referrals that they helped you all set up, I'm sure.
Fresh website.
And then
Knocked down, really nice website. Right? I didn't have to come up. I didn't have to find a website
right.
person.
No,
It's
that's nice. The content is the pain in the butt for that as well, and they already had that. And
That's
then
right.
Postcards. I didn't get a postcard, so make sure you send me one.
Yes, sir.
Send me a picture of one. But and then so that's how you first started getting them, and then you started building your brand within the community. Now, have you built relationships with, like you said, the seal coders and the pavers and the business? Like I remember talking to a lot of guys. They set you up to, set up business relationships with like the people that are building houses that are going to need lines put in, the people that are seal coders that need lines put in, and all that other stuff. Did you build those kind of relationships?
Yes, and you might even ask how, right? And I have to continue to point back to VSB. So we have a big thing with Sherwin-Williams, right? That's where we buy our paint. And by the way, I probably could have tried to start my own business. It would not have been the same without the support. Everybody's the same. Oh, I just go start my own. Well, you could. You might, but now you have to start from the ground up, from branding and all those things that you don't know about. So I'm at my first Sherwin-Williams event, and I happen to bump in. Shout out to my buddy Roderick and Jay and Sonia. So Roderick was a retired police officer, and he did 20 years in the Air Force. And so I'm at the Sherwin-Williams event, and I see this guy on his phone showing me, oh, I do this and that. This is all my painting, and I'm like, hey man, like I haven't been out there. I'd love a little help. And he's like, I'll tell you. And that's all I said. I just threw it out there, like I could use a little help, on site. And he says, when I first started, I had somebody help me, and I'm going to do the same for you. And so Roderick is a painter that I've been in touch with now for almost 3 years, and he was right there with me, right?
Yep.
And that has helped me so much. So you talk about relationship building. It's not what can you do for me. It's I think there's some genuineness, and I don't want anything from it.
I call it social capital. It's investing in other people without expecting anything in return. You build up that social capital bank account so that whenever you need it, you can call it Wasta, you can call it Karma, whatever. So that when you need it, people are there for you. I talk about that all the time. And so, you gave back, and for him, he was giving back with no expectation of return.
NCO, first sergeant.
Yep, I love it. So we got some questions here. So here we go. What piece of advice, this is Lucy again, but I got a bunch of others, would you share to inspire a potential franchise partner?
First thing that comes to mind is talk to other franchise owners of that group.
So if somebody called you, you'd be happy to talk to them about your experience.
I mean, for me, I wing. We call it. That's an Air Force term, right? Battle buddy in the Army. The new guys coming on, I'm automatically first time they reach out to me like, hey, me and you, we're gonna talk more because I know a few things. I'm not, like I've kind of been there and done that, and I can help you. So the new guys coming in, but I thought the question might have been somebody looking at any franchise, and I was thinking, hey, make sure you talk to the other franchise owners so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
What's it like? What's the support like? What's the training like? Find out about royalties. Not every franchise out there is. I don't think they're who they say they are. So you have to do diligence to find out: is this a dud? Is this a stud? I like that accent. I got to use that.
Is this a dud or is this a stud?
Is it a dud or a stud?
I also talked to Michael Atanakis. He's a Chick-fil-A operator out here by me. And he shares it was like a 4-year experience to get a Chick-fil-A franchise. So Gary says, what does the parent company do to help market your services in your region?
Right. So this brand right here, I'm just going to, that G-Force, that symbol, that's already been established, right? I have to keep the values and I have to keep it up. Everybody's got a phone in their hand, Mike, right? You got to do the right things out there. Where is this question? Just repeat.
What does Veteran Service Brands G-Force headquarters do to help you market your services?
They have the support system. They not only have the website. They told me where to get my paint. They told me what machines to use. I got a beautiful wrap on my truck, and I didn't have to figure it out.
They teach you how to get the wraps. Those are the biggest marketing things. Gary, I don't know if you've seen what their trucks look like and their trailers. They're stunning, the wrap that they help you get. So that's fantastic. And do they do like any social media stuff for you guys as well?
So the
larger brand, right?
Yes. LinkedIn's out there for you to use. And so what did Veteran Service Brands do? Well, we have a yearly meeting, and then they bring in, just think about it, 20 roundtables, right? And we might get to that later. And each roundtable is something different, which is really how we got, right? One of those roundtables, you're LinkedIn, and I'm going, wait, if Veteran Service Brands putting this in front of me, really like anything else, you get out what you put in. Right?
I'm just going to say I like what you did right there. They brought Michael Quinn out to teach you how to use LinkedIn. Like, now I know your Air Force, smarter than the average bear. So, but they do more as well. So what about, so Andrew said, how did you handle startup costs? Are those through the VSB? Is it SBA?
Right. So what they do is they provide the machine, but you got to pay for it. So whatever that might be, you got to buy your own paint, your own machines, your own wrap, your own truck, your own, there's cost, right? I do think it takes money to make money, but how did I handle my costs? 401k, stocks sold, right? I took from my my 401k, and at a certain point, who am I invested in now? Mike Quinn is me.
Yeah, no, I love it. But I think I'm pretty sure they have some financing options for people as well.
They'll set you up with the right people, and so that was another thing is I needed to take out loans in order to pay for things for startup costs and marketing.
Yeah.
It was really, and then I have my brother Jay. He's out in Long Island. He's helped me financially too. So it wasn't one bucket of money that I used, but Veteran Service Brands, they do have several finance guys that help me.
Yeah. And Gary says he has people flooring his home literally today using that method. What I'll say, Gary, is, are they veterans? Like, that's the key. Would you hire a veteran over a non-veteran if all things else were considered? We've got Dwayne saying Texas verification letter to start his business, already connected with SCORE Mentor and Texas Veteran Commission for all the resources and help. What I will share, Dwayne, without hearing more about your business, is that I was the founder and CEO of my business, and I am now the chief growth officer. And I brought in a business partner and CEO because they had the business acumen and experience to run the actual business element of it better than I did. And so I think what this aligns with what Joe's saying is you don't know what you don't know when it comes to starting a business. So either you need to really have an active community supporting you and clients already lined up for whatever your business is going to be. Otherwise, there are benefits to connecting with the right franchise. Would you agree, Joe?
I was gonna say, you're a sergeant major, E9 in the Army, right?
Mhm.
And I appreciate your service to this country and the service that you continually provided, because you got out of the military, right? You could have just said, I'm done, I'm hanging up, but you
Yeah.
constantly put your hand back and you're helping people out. You've helped me out greatly. But what I think about is when you look at the military, right, you got all these ranks and you can see it. Well, if I get to E1, I can get to E2. If I get to E2, I can get to E3. There's a structure there that you can build upon. And in this world, I can see guys in Texas, Florida,
Yeah.
Georgia, all doing well. And for me, that gives me a vote of confidence. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have people failing. And I think in the event, if a person's humble enough to look at why am I failing, I mean, are you sending out postcards? Are you marketing? Are you doing the work? How are you with clients? How do you talk to people? Usually there's an answer for those things, but you look at veteran service brands across
Yeah.
spectrum and you just
Uh,
have success after success
right.
after success.
Are you getting reviews? Because people just automatically do reviews, right?
Can you give me 1 second? I love
Uh,
this. This is something that I earned, and I put it on just for a little fun, right? So this is my review. I don't know. Does that say 2023 right there and
yeah.
2024? We're gonna need maybe a bigger helmet. I'm working on 2020, 25. So what is reviews and how is it important? I always think about it like this, man. Do you shop on Amazon? Most people are gonna say yes. Do you not look at like 5-star reviews? Because if one
Yeah.
thing's got sold 5 and another's got 50, so in this world, it just makes sense. Like, you need to get reviews. That is how you're going to boost your
Search engine optimization, your ranking results when people are doing searches.
and
Yeah.
I'm
And the
it's
sales too. Yeah.
so I asked for them and I got them and I continue to continuously do that. I'm at I think 114 right now in my third year, and it's something that when I am at a job site, I'm asking, just like I'm going to ask to get paid. I'm asking for a review. You don't get all of them, but I think I just see a lot of. I find it important because just like you're
Yeah.
shopping on Amazon, like
No, I mean, I love it. You said it's 114 5-star reviews in year 3. That's fantastic.
115.
So we've got William Childers saying, if you had to choose one thing you would have done differently or better when you first started, what would it be?
I wouldn't have been so. I had a lot of anxiety, and I think I asked, a lot. I leaned on corporate, and they're amazing people. But I think if I would have just slowed myself down, I could have been. It would have been a little easier on me. I wouldn't say like to start it earlier because I had just got back from
Yeah.
overseas. I gave myself a little bit of time, and again, this is working with VSB. Like Craig told me, literally, you might not want to do this right now because the season's almost done. Wait until the season comes around so you can kick this thing off when it's painting season. So I had a lot of support from them,
Did
which
you
really
wait? Did you
what's
listen
that?
to Craig? Did you listen to Craig and wait to painting season?
Yeah, because I believe if I remember correctly, it was getting into the winter time, and so I didn't, it was like, do I
I
really
know.
want to have all
Yeah.
these loans? And now I'm looking at October, December, January. Well, no. So I think I signed in February because now I have March, April, May, and the good weather's coming. So I timed
Yeah.
it. I felt like I timed it right. But if I could have just slowed down, and I think one thing I could have done differently is gone to other locations. You got a 5-pound weight on your back. Sometimes it feels like 50 when you have a little bit of anxiety. And for me, I had that. I had work. I got a daughter, beautiful little girl, and I had a lot of things going on. So I felt, very balled up in anxiety. And if I could have gone out to the other locations and swapped paint and put paint down, that would have really served me
Mhm.
really well. And I didn't do that.
And
So
get the benefit of the other successful franchise owners' experience, like asking them questions while you're laying down stripes with them, and
yeah,
learn from that. I like
I'm
that one. I like that. So you would have spent more time while you were building your business with some of the other owners along the way.
yeah,
I think that's fantastic.
yeah.
So I have one other question. We're already 5 minutes over time. I knew this was going to happen, but what percentage of your workday? I know you set your own hours. And I know a lot of what I like about parking lot striping is some businesses are going to want to stay open during the day. And so you can sometimes do it in the early evening or early morning or whatever, right? But what percentage of your work is striping and what percentage is like back office, finances, accounts receivable, accounts payable, that kind of stuff?
Look, back to VSB, right? When I went to convention, one of the things we were learning is you can do it all, but you're going to suffer and the business is going to suffer. So widen your team, right? So now I have folks who, if I can't get to my phone rings right now, I'm just going to click the off and Service Pro is going to answer it for me. I got an administrative assistant.
Yeah.
And finding good people are always hard to find. But what percentage am I striping?
I love it.
Versus behind the desk. Although I'm always working, I do feel like when you do love what you do, it doesn't really feel like work all the time. I mean, I get tired, right? I'm 45, so I get tired sometimes out there, but you remind yourself, man, this is about this little 9-year-old girl who I'm trying to support and do big things for, and it gives me that extra pump. I woke up at 9 o'clock. Is Jack listening? I woke up at 9 o'clock. Got a little, extra, but that gives that little bit of extra sleep sometimes.
Jack's no longer listening, but Jay is.
Okay, sometimes I sleep in, but I put in the work and I schedule my jobs as needed. But when I was working full time, Mike, like I said, I had to work starting at 5 p.m. Where now it's like, oh, you need me there in the morning? All right, I'll be there around 9. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So come up, I'm not up at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's me though. I can enjoy a little bit of sleeping. I get out there, I do my work, and you got to answer your phone. Really, it's powerful to answer your phone and just be good with people. Yeah,
I love it. And Dwayne says he can relate to everything from a marketing and advertising perspective. So Navy recruiting for 22 years. I think there's a lot. It's a lot about getting the brand out there. There's a lot of it building relationships so that when someone says, "Hey, man, my lining looks like crap," or the rest of the veteran service brands, I need to get my house repainted, or I need new epoxy floors, right? Or I've got an athletic field that needs to be striped. For me, if I know there's a veteran-owned franchise that does it in the area, I'm going to get quotes. But if it's anywhere in the same ballpark, I'm hiring a veteran 100 times out of 100 because I know there's a much better chance I'm getting quality, but I'm also giving back to the community, and I know that they're going to be detail-oriented for the most part. So that is fantastic. So Joe, we are almost 10 minutes over. Yep. I'm going to give you last word. Over to you. What do you got to say?
Right. Geez, I'm just thinking about veteran service brands and all they do. I mean, honestly, if anybody's out there thinking they want to own a business, I mean, look at veteran service brands. In this community, I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, my mother, my brother, my father, my sister, I served." And that's the difference between veteran service brands. Yeah, you can go out and start your own business, sure. But I tell you, the franchising world for me is it's a put together business plan scope, and you follow the cadence, and you build trust with the veteran service brands. And you don't really, they say left, step there. It's almost like if you were walking through a mud pit, right? Don't step over there, right? Yeah. You don't step over there. You got to put your money where they're telling you to put the money. You got to stick with it. Values matter, virtues matter, and you can do it. If you think you can do it, you can definitely do it.
There you go.
It's worth.
I love it, and you remind me of the General, those commercials for insurance that.
Right, I'm taking it off now.
So I'm not going to say that quote. They didn't pay me to say it, so I'm not doing. No, I'm just kidding. But I just want to thank you, Joe. For most people out there, as I close out, I said I'd give them the last word, but I met Joe almost 2.5 years ago at the Veteran Service Brands Conference. They brought me and Lucy Robinson out for the week, basically. And Lucy flew down from Alaska, and we sat around a table for a few hours and talked to people about marketing themselves and building a community on LinkedIn. And there was one guy that sat down at my table, asked questions leaning forward, and never left. And so he was memorable from that standpoint. But then the next day, I saw him in January walking up and down the streets of Clearwater, full of energy with no shirt on. And I'm like, we're veterans, right? I love this guy. He's fantastic. So it's been exciting to see your success. Exciting to see them hand you the award this year for most 5-star reviews. You know, it's not a surprise for me. Anybody that's met you, it's not a surprise. So, you know, thank you for giving back to our community. I'm assuming if anybody wants to talk about owning a franchise offline with you, they can reach out via LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Perfect.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for everything. And I will see you, I believe, in Austin next January, right? Hopefully.
Yes,
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you. Peace to all.